Hi, I'm Daniel Gold, and welcome to another episode of the Gold Standard Leadership Lab. By day, I'm a partner at a leading advisory firm where I draw upon my background as an attorney to help my clients succeed. This podcast, though, is my personal project, completely separate and apart from my day job, yet driven by the same passion that I bring to everything that I do: teaching, mentoring, and sharing simple, impactful lessons that you can put into action. It is my hope that you'll walk away with practical takeaways to help you on your leadership journey. Thanks for being a part of this community and for joining me in the Leadership Lab. Let's get started. When I reflect on a career that has spanned more than 2 decades, I keep coming back to one central truth. The moments that mattered most were not the promotions. They weren't the titles. They weren't the deals that I closed. They were the quiet conversations where someone found something new about themselves. That discovery happens through giving back, and the returns, well, they are exponential. And I bet if you look back, the same may be true for you as well. When I mentor someone, whether officially or in a passing chat, I am not there to provide them with answers. My role is to simply ask questions, deep ones, the kind that creates space for people to think differently about their own potential. Author Adam Grant's research in Give and Take backs this up. He found that leaders who are generous givers build networks of trust that compound over time. The research cannot capture the feeling, however. That feeling when you see a person shift. When a question you asked months ago suddenly clicks and changes that person's trajectory. I have watched mentees ask for promotions they never thought they deserved. I have seen clients transform their own teams using frameworks we explored together. And I have had advisees reach out years later to tell me about leadership roles they stepped into because of a new confidence they found in our conversations. The most beautiful part is that it was never, ever about me. We partnered, we collaborated, they discovered something that was already there within them. This isn't theory, it's practice I live every week. In my other podcast, the one about legal technology, operates on this very principle. We probe, we stay curious, we listen actively. Sometimes we challenge assumptions, and other times we just create space for discovery. Harvard Business Review research shows that leaders who ask more questions are perceived as more competent. The real benefit, though, is not about perception. It is about what happens when you resist the urge to fill a silence with solutions. Instead, you trust that the other person has insights themselves worth uncovering. This approach works with mentees, clients, and team members alike. Leadership becomes less about having the right answers and more about being able to ask the right questions. I recently returned from a legal technology conference where we interviewed some of the most brilliant minds. These events are like masterclasses in knowledge sharing. Speakers give their best thinking, their tested frameworks, and their hard-won lessons. But here's the question I always ask our podcast guests at the end when we do these interviews at these conferences, and that is, how will you share what you learned from this conference when you get back to your office? You know what's interesting? The best leaders always know how to answer that question immediately. They understand that hoarding knowledge is selfish. They process what they have absorbed, contextualize it for their teams, and then they find ways to multiply its impact well beyond the conference walls. That is leadership stewardship. It is taking what you have received and passing it forward. I believe that leadership carries a very deep obligation. Those in our care deserve more than direction. They deserve our curiosity, our genuine interest in their growth, and our commitment to their success. Author Sean Aker writes about gratitude as a virtuous cycle in The Happiness Advantage, the book that he wrote. And the more that we express appreciation, the more others do the same, creating expanding circles of positivity will occur. And the interesting thing is that leadership works the same way. When you give your knowledge, your attention, and your belief in the potential of others, they carry that forward to their teams, to their clients, and to their own mentees. This is literally the impact of giving in action. And if this message resonates, here's 3 things that you can do today. First, ask more questions than you provide answers. Create space for others to discover their own insights. Next, share what you learn, whether it's from a conference, a book, an article that you read, a podcast like this one, or your own experience. Find ways to pass valuable knowledge to your team. And finally, I really encourage you to see leadership as stewardship. Your role is not to hoard expertise, but to multiply its impact through others. The leaders that we remember most, the leaders that I remember the most, are not those who accumulated the most, but those who gave the most away. They loved their teams authentically. They shared their knowledge generously. They created the conditions for others to thrive. When you lead this way, you create a cycle of influence you may never, ever fully see. But somewhere down the line, someone will actually trace their breakthrough back to a question that you asked, a belief that you shared, or a moment when you chose to invest in their potential rather than showcasing your own expertise. That is leadership worth pursuing, not for what it gets you, but for what it gives others the power to become. Think about what giving back looks like in your own leadership journey. And if this message resonates with you, I'd like to ask you to take a quick moment and subscribe to the Gold Standard Leadership Lab on goldstandardleadership.com or wherever you listen to podcasts and join this conversation. And remember, leadership isn't about perfection. It's about progress. Take this lesson, put it into action, and continue setting the gold standard in your own life and at work. See you all next time.